What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, sponsored by BetParx. Good morning, everybody out there. K-Red, as always, good morning. Good morning to our 8 a.m.ers, our live chatters that are with us every morning for live from 8 a.m. on Philly with John Marks, is always brought to you by BetParx. A lot to talk about today. Pat Egan's going to join us for some Phillies conversation. That's coming up, Block B, about 20, 25 minutes from right now. Phillies so briefly with the Phillies, and then I want to talk about Daryl Morey. But a very entertaining win last night, entertaining comeback. It was one of those games where we talked about it yesterday, where they win the first two of the series, and then game three, they haven't been able to do a sweep this year. And last night they were behind. They got some late run rallies. Bryson Stott hits it out of the ballpark, and they were able to get the win in extra innings. So a very entertaining Phillies win last night. Tyler will be along to discuss that coming up here. We'll do it in this block. We'll do it at the back end of block number A here. So an entertaining Phillies win. They get the series sweep. They're starting to roll a little bit right now, just in time to go into Cleveland. Tough series against the Guardians. Cleveland's a good team. We'll talk about that coming up. Daryl Morey, I don't want to say he had he did a couple of media events yesterday. He was on with Mike Missanelli and Bill Colarulo on 97.5 The Fanatic, and he did the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast with my buddy Spike Eskin and Mike Levin. I did not hear that. I did hear most of the interview with Mike and Bill. And then, of course, I read what was the transcripts and the transcribes and everything else that was going on there. So let me and I'm going to be as fair as possible, because I don't like Daryl Morey at all. I don't like him at all, for reasons I'll detail in this. But I do think he's a good GM. And he's been snake bitten a little bit. The Embiid injury, if your best player and your MVP caliber player isn't healthy and isn't able to play and isn't available, guess what's going to happen in your season? Yeah. So the biggest reason why the Sixers were an absolute dumpster fire last year was because of the Embiid injury. Not all of it, but if Embiid's not playing and he's not available, and when he is playing, he's flopping all over the place and he's clearly not healthy, guess what? You're probably not going to have a good season. And the 76ers did. If they would have made the playoffs and lost in the first round, who the hell cares? So it's good that they were as bad as they were, because they were able to tank. They executed the tank very, very well. Shout out to the Sixers for recognizing, let's execute the tank. They did. They have a good chance to keep their own pick as opposed to losing it. So, all else being equal, losing in the first round of the playoffs this year, everybody would have been angry, probably angrier than they are right now, because now you're just kind of detached from the situation. Now you're just kind of it's a slow death march towards when is it going to be over? When's Morey going to get fired? And when is Joel Embiid going to get traded? At least that's how I feel as a 76er fan right now. But Daryl Morey is a good GM. He's had some good draft picks. He's done some good things here, being in charge and running the Philadelphia 76ers. But my problem with Daryl Morey is that, I didn't need him to grovel yesterday. I didn't need groveling. His ego isn't going to allow him to grovel. There's only going to be so much that he's going to take ownership of. And I don't think he did enough of that yesterday. He came off as being, I'm Daryl Morey. I'm a top GM in the NBA. I'm a winner. What's the quote here that he said? First losing season I've ever had. More deep playoff runs than pretty much any executive. I have never been in the lottery. I am pretty good at the winning thing. Daryl Morey yesterday with Mike Missanelli. The reality of the situation is, Daryl, and that's why I made sure that I came in and I said that I think he's a good GM, and he has the track record in the NBA of being a good GM. Not a great GM. He thinks he's a great GM. A good GM. All right? The Sixers just went through what was being hyped to a 76er fan as the best chance that they've had of winning something probably since like the Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid run where it felt like, hey, this team has the talent to win the title. Now, I never believed it last year. I didn't believe that having an old Paul George teaming with a broken down Joel Embiid and a good Tyrese Maxey, I just to me, it was like, okay, well, I don't think they get out of the second round of the playoffs. Regardless, he took his shot, Paul George, max contract there. We're going for it. And now he is talking to the fans, which is what he's doing when he goes on with Mike or he goes on with Spike and Mike. He's talking to the fans. This is his message for the fans. And his message for the fans yesterday was, this ain't my fault. We had injuries. Sorry, I'm a winner. We got snake bitten. There were injuries. And don't look at me. I've turned this team into a bona fide championship caliber team. Unfortunately, last season with Joel not being healthy, we very much believe in our roster. We believe in Joel and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, and that's what we're going with going forward. We're going to make our core younger, and that's how we're going for it. He's got no other option right now because he's not trading Joel Embiid, and he probably can't trade Paul George, or what he would get back for Paul George would be a rebuild. You would recoup something you would get in a rebuild because you just want to get rid of the contract and you want to get him out of here and you want to get younger, you want to get draft pick things like that. To where he's Tupac committed right now to doing that. So, Daryl Morey, it's interesting because he wants to be able to say, hey, we believe in our players, we believe in our team, and this is what we're doing, while at the same time acknowledging to the fans, hey, that really sucked last year, and I need to take some responsibility for it. Here's the bottom line. The 76ers are further away from winning a title right now than they have been since Brett Brown and those years where you felt like, hey, this is a young, ascending, really good team, because those teams were championship caliber. Those teams did have a chance to win a championship, whether it was the Raptors year or the Hawks year or whatever. That team had enough to at least advance to an Eastern Conference Finals or at least advance to an NBA championship. This team just flat out doesn't. And Daryl's going to do his best to shine it and to make the roster around him better. I know he talked a lot about his rotation is going to be a lot younger and more athletic this year, and that was the mistake that he made last year. But Daryl, right now, you're in a pretty much a no-win situation. You are tying your entire NBA, or at least 76ers career, to Joel Embiid's health and to lottery balls. Because if you get Cooper Flag, you're gonna be fine. Sixers fans are gonna be really happy, and the future is gonna look a lot brighter than it does right now. And Joel Embiid's health, which you have no idea, and actually you do have an idea, but if you're tying this 76ers team to Joel Embiid's health, you're in big trouble. Because I think we've seen enough of Joel Embiid's health, whether it's the knee or it's everything else that's going on, to say that he's not going to be healthy. And I apologize. I have family members that are hitting me up here, or I'm on a group chat, and it's coming through my laptop here. So I don't really know what to say. Daryl Morey pissed me off yesterday. The 76ers just went through a really, really bad, depressing season if you're a 76er fan. Because if you were expecting this team to be a contender for the NBA title, you got the rug ripped out from underneath you. You slipped on the banana peel. Whoop! You did. Now, Daryl Morey's got to try to figure it out and try to get back to it. But he's on the hot seat. And if the Sixers don't make real strides this year, I'm not saying they need to win a title. I'm not saying that they even need to advance to the NBA final. But you can't lose in the second round again. You can't. You need to make some progress here, Daryl. And the attitude of Daryl Morey yesterday was not, hey, man, that was a really bad year. I'm owning it and put it on me. Because one thing Daryl Morey has never done is he's never owned the franchise's losing. When he says, my first losing season I've ever had, more deep playoff runs than pretty much any executive. I've never been in the lottery. I'm pretty good at the winning thing. Didn't happen in Philadelphia. The teams went backwards. And quite frankly, Daryl, I don't give an effing damn what you did in Houston. I don't care. It does not matter one freaking bit to me. And by the way, how many NBA finals have you been in as an executive, Daryl Morey? Don't talk like you're Pat Riley. Don't talk like you're a constructor of championship teams, and now you've moved on to Philadelphia. You're not, and you haven't been. Sorry. So having the attitude and the ego of I'm pretty good at the winning thing. Oh my God. Like, not surprised, not surprised. I didn't need him to grovel. Injuries played a big part last year. He also, his plan was James Harden didn't work out. His plan was get max spots to get Paul George. Does that look like it's going to be going in the stock up position this year? I don't think it can't be worse, but it can't be like this. Paul George just can't be a average to above average player. You need Paul George to be better than that. That's why you maxed him. And that looks very unlikely at this point. So can they win some regular season games? Yeah, of course they can. They have talent on this team. Are they winning a title? Are they getting to an Eastern Conference final? Are they getting to the NBA finals? I would bet heavily against that, which sucks because this off season just started. But that's where I am right now. Apathy is at an all-time high with me. I think with other 76ers fans, it is as well. And his performance yesterday was not good. It was not good, Daryl Morey. So what you can do is you can put everything on you and you can say, listen, I think we have a lot of talent. I believe in our guys. The bottom line is we need to win, and we need to win a title. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to bring Philadelphia a championship. It's been too long. It's been too long since 76ers fans have experienced a title. That's why Joshua Harris brought me in, and that's the only thing that we're focused on. You know, Daryl, take a page from the freaking Eagles and Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, and they've won the titles. But going into it, all they would say is the only thing that matters is winning a title, and then grovel to the fans like that. The only thing I care about is bringing a championship home for these fans. That resonates with us, dude. And instead, first losing season I've ever had. More deep playoff runs than pretty much any executive. I've never been in the lottery. I'm pretty good at the winning thing. Cheers, Daryl Morey. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold going on here, so you may hear some post-nasal drip and things like that. This portion of the program brought to you by Glatt Hair Restoration, glatthairmm.com. You can text them right now at 610-980-4000. You can call them as well, but you can text them. Hey, heard you on Philly with John Marks. Would love to talk to you. Want some more information? 610-980-4000. There we go. As we welcome in Tyler Zulli, who was up late last night doing his Phillies post-game recap. Another live show coming up today. Tyler, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning to you as well. So a couple of things that Daryl Morey said are true. This is his first losing season. He's almost 300 games over 500 in the regular season for his career as a general manager between the Rockets and the Sixers. He also has had a history of, taking the big swing and going for it, making a big trade in Houston to facilitate that trade, making trying to acquire Paul George, drafting Tyrese Maxey and drafting Jaden Springer, who also looks like he can play. There are good things to Daryl Morey's tenure. Here's what's not good about Daryl Morey's tenure. The fact that he has never been to an NBA Finals. The fact that his Houston Rockets team, the best one that he had, blew a 3-2 series lead against the Golden State Warriors and got blown out in Game 6 and then lost Game 7 and didn't go to the finals that year. Had a team in Philadelphia that a couple years ago had a 3-2 series lead against the Boston Celtics in the second round, lost Game 6, lost that series. So there's a tone to this whole thing. And the tone is, yeah, you're right. You have been a good regular season general manager, but the postseason success has not followed. Despite the fact that you're almost 300 games over 500 in the regular season for your career, your teams are 2 games over 500 in the postseason. You have never appeared in an NBA Finals, and you have never for in either conference, for either the Sixers or for the Houston Rockets. So there's a time and place to these kind of comments, and after the season that you just posted, and there's no doubt about it, they were riddled with injuries. They missed so much man time to injuries. And when your three highest paid players, the guys that are taking over 90% of the salary of your salary allocation, at least against the cap, miss extensive time, of course you're going to struggle. That was the whole idea of the fact that injuries derailed this season. No question about it. But as you brought up, with those guys getting healthy and a draft pick coming in, presumably them keeping their top 6 pick, hoping that being the case, should be a pretty good player, should be a rotational player right away. The expectation for next year isn't going to be like they should be better. The expectation for next year is going to be like, you better get back to the damn playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
It's a long way. It's a lot of what ifs to think about for a team that had significant injuries last year, and the depth was not particularly strong. Now, part of that was done intentionally towards the end of the year, but like your depth at the beginning of the season, as you brought up, was Gershon Yabusele, was 38-year-old Kyle Lowry, was Kelly Oubre, who was very good last year. Probably will be better in the role that he's suited for when everybody's healthy. But like your depth is tested because of the injuries, and you didn't have a lot of young depth until the end of the season, where you were just getting guys on 10 days and, what is it, Exhibit A contracts or whatever they're called, and trying to let guys run out there. They need some help still. And the expectation is not going to be this is a building block year. The expectation is going to be you got to get back to the postseason.
Well, no, the expectation is you have to really, truly contend for a final. Sorry, it's if they lose in the conference finals, and details matter. If you lose in the conference finals, you've made progress. Look at since he took over. All right, Eastern Conference semis lost in the first round. I believe that was the COVID year. Doc Rivers then comes in, lost in the semis. Nick Nurse comes in, lost in the first round, and now you missed the playoffs this year. Do you see a trend from where he took over? You started off here, and now it's kind of been like, So just getting back to the playoffs for me, that's what I'm saying. It's not a good place to be on the hot seat where you're relying on Joel Embiid to more or less be healthy and to carry your team again. And like, listen, not for nothing, Tyrese Maxey didn't like, he went down a little bit last year. Still a good player. I still like Maxey. He can still be a part of it, but it's the winning formula to win a title. Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. And I say, no, it's not. Sorry, it's not. If Embiid can play 65 games, and can be healthy in the playoffs, and okay, sure. Yeah, let's have fun. Let's be silly. And like stop. So this is what he's going to be. And instead of with an opportunity to come out and say, listen, I'm putting it all on me. Philadelphia fans, I want to win a title as much as you do. No. Oh, I'm pretty good at winning. Oh, get the freak out of here, Daryl Morey. You're such a loser. What a loser line that is to say. Like, what an absolute ass Daryl Morey is. I wasn't surprised. And again, it's the reason that I came out and said, Daryl Morey's he's a good executive. He's proven to be a good executive in the NBA. He's not a piece of garbage. But like, you look at the moves that mattered since he got here. The moves that mattered, he's failed. He just has. Trading Ben Simmons, failure. But creating the max spot for Paul George, so far, failure. Extending Joel Embiid. I don't even give him crap for that. They were pot committed. It might cost him his job if Embiid can't play or he's too busted up to really be a regular player without the injury. But listen, you can't act like you've won this league when you haven't. And the tone from him yesterday was, I'm a winner. What are you talking about? We're going to be fine. We're going to be younger in the rotation. Yesterday, I believe in my 3 guys. Does he really believe in his 3 guys? Does he? Does he believe in Embiid and Maxey and Paul George? Because it doesn't matter if he believes in it or not. It's the only thing he can do. That's his always hand. That's the hand that he has to try to play. And the only thing he can do is try to, he's got the main entree. Now he's got to mess around with the sides to make it a complete meal. But if the main entree is not good enough, it's not going to be a good dinner. And it's not going to be a good dinner, brother. It's not.
You and I have talked plenty about the fact that the offseason is kind of like the Phillies. Now, the Phillies are in a different situation because there's no cap. But we talked about it like the offseason is going to be relatively quiet. because they don't have a lot of options, right? Like, as we said, 90% of their allocated salary cap is dedicated to those 3 players. And listen, good teams and great teams, when you're trying to be a great team, those teams do pay a lot of money for top-end talent. That's just how the NBA goes, and it's why you're able to go over the salary cap to retain your players and extend your players, right? So you extend Joel Embiid, you extend Tyrese Maxey. Those 2 guys, you're allowed to, bust open the salary cap doors to bring those guys in. You get off of the Tobias Harris contract, and you say, I need to make a big swing, because if I don't make a big swing, I might lose my job anyway. And the big swing was Paul George. And I think a lot of people in the city had feelings of, hey, you're bringing in a former, multi-time All-Star, a perennial scorer, maybe a guy who's not in his prime anymore, but it's one of those things, in order to get this guy, you probably have to give him the max slot. Now, I think a lot of people were more concerned about the years than they were about the money, but I think in order to bring a guy in, you had to kind of give him that max contract. So the one thing I give Daryl Morey credit for is taking the big swing and trying to be competitive. He's done it everywhere he's been. It hasn't worked out. Now, the smugness coming off of this particular season is where the problem lies. It's where the problem sits of going into next year, where you almost are assuredly running it back, where you're talking about your big move being either retaining Gershon Yabusele or retaining
Grimes.
Right.
And it sure sounded like they're going to retain Grimes.
Right. And it's who do you draft in the top 6 if you keep your pick, and which of those 2 guys are back? Those are your conversation pieces for the offseason. Is that enough? I don't know, because I really don't know.
The answer is no.
How many games is your core going to play? That's really my biggest question, and no one knows that answer. You don't have a crystal ball.
Our roster going in, this is more Morey. Our roster going in the next season will be better than it was going in the last season, where again we had the 3rd best odds to win the Eastern Conference. He brought that up a couple times. They had the 3rd best odds to win the Eastern Conference. So freaking what? What does that mean? Odds makers are off all the time. You're the 3rd best odds to win the Eastern Conference. Awesome. And it's going to be a better roster. So that means 3rd best odds to win the Eastern Conference before they were derailed by injuries. Better roster. They're winning a title. Sixers are winning a title. Coming up, Pat Egan on the Phillies. I'll ask him about this as well. But Pat Egan, PHLY, is he a general assignment reporter? He certainly specializes in the Phils. Is he watching Aaron Nola? Because Pat Egan had not been watching Aaron Nola. He was watching the Disney Channel instead of watching Aaron Nola starts. And also his thoughts on my favorite player on the Phillies as well. That's all coming up. We'll get his thoughts on the 76ers as well. That's all coming up. Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. You're crazy if you go anywhere. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Ace is the place for losers like me that can't fix anything. Ace Hardware Home Services, the power of the Ace brand, striving to be the best, most trusted provider of home preservation services. They offer a wide range of residential maintenance, installation, and home repair services that includes plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical. So that's what you got. All right. So you got something that's going on. All right. Like you're like, oh man, HVAC, it's not working right. It's going to happen. Weather gets warm. You put on your air conditioner. Like, oh man, it's taking forever to get the house cool. Ace Hardware Home Services. Emergency services available for when you need them the most. Free estimates on equipment installation, replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and your budget. And listen, satisfaction's guaranteed. Service you can trust. They will make it right no matter what. To get started on your next project, AceHardwareHomeservices.com. AceHardwareHomeservices.com. Check them out. Ace is the place when you can't do anything like me. AceHardwareHomeservices.com. Glad Hair Restoration. Yep. How's the hair looking? Let me take a look. See, not bad. Got a late start doing the hair. A little bit. This is my weaker side of the scalp, right? So, like, even right now, I can see, right? Like, with my hair, my weakest part of my hair is right here. That's my most, like, receding and thinnest part. And that's why Glad Hair Restoration, that's why I'm with them, because they can help. So whether you're balding, thinning, they have something for all stages of hair loss. And I'm talking about the experts when it comes to the hair loss in Philadelphia. The most experience, over 30 years of doing hair. It's all they do. So you know what that means. They've been through it. They've been through the trials and tribulations. Now fast forward to 2025. Man, there are a lot of options for hair loss, right? So I'm now in the maintenance phase where it's like, okay, I want to keep the existing hair that I have. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that are like that. Like, hey, I'm not like, I don't hate my hair right now. I just don't want to lose anymore. Aha. Glad hair restoration. You may not need hair restoration. You may not want hair restoration. You may want to keep the hair that you have. If you're balding and you're thinning, there's a ton of things out there for you that I get every year. Every year I go into Glad Hair and I get before and after pictures. And in the before and after pictures, you're not looking for improvement of like, oh, wow, look at my hair. And now I have this big afro, right? Like, no, you're looking for it to look the same. You don't want it to go backwards. You want to stay where, like, yeah, you want some hair growth, sure. But you want it to look the same. That's a win. And that's what I'm getting with Glad Hair Restoration. You can see my before and after pictures at gladhairmm.com or check out my Instagram. I have lots of before and after pictures on there. Or call or text them at 610-980-4000, 610-980-4000, gladhairmm.com. Hoo-ah! We are back. And I hope Pat Egan's with us because I know he had a double dose of adult men's league hockey last night. He had a doubleheader at 8 a.m. and then at 10:30. And he has no concussion, it doesn't appear. Pat Egan, PHLY, joins us right now. Hi, Pat.
Hello. It was 8 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., by the way.
8 p.m., 10:30.
Yeah.
And what time does the second game get done? Like midnight?
12:15. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Got home around 1:30.
Nice. Love it.
Hair looks good, by the way.
Thank you. It doesn't look bad. Why don't you quit playing hockey? You're too old for it.
Yeah, you keep up with this, like,
yeah.
I should quit and stuff, but like the team needs me.
What was your line last night in 2 games?
I had 3 goals and 3 assists.
You had 3 goals and 3 assists?
Yeah, but they weren't good goals. They were like garbage goals. The puck was sitting there. Goalie felt bad for me.
So Pat, I don't know
skill goals.
I don't know your level of hockey, and I don't know the level of the league. But is this a blind hockey league, or is this regular normal people?
Dude, it's one step above the blind. It's not good. Okay. I'm not out there flying around. It's low level hockey. No one's coming to watch this.
Well, I didn't think people were coming to watch it. If you had to give yourself a comp to a Flyers player, what would you do? Who would you say it is?
Oh God, I mean, I'm worse than Gritty. Who's the Vibes guy?
Trent Klatt. Like I'm going back. Are you a mucker and a grinder? Because you got 3 goals and 3 assists, so you wouldn't be a third line player.
Yeah, I'll go to the dirty areas, but I'm more of like I shine in the room. I don't shine on the ice. You know, I'm the Garrett Stubbs of the team.
Ah, Stubby.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a playlist.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you were productive in 2 games last night. So anyway, Phillies with they're rolling a little bit here. And I'll say this before I go any further, because this has kind of been my tone with the team. They're going to beat up on bad teams, and let's see what they do against the better teams, right? And they're starting pitching, and really the Rays look completely lifeless before last night. And I give the Phillies a lot of credit. That was a game where they very easily could have been, we're in Cleveland tomorrow. We already won 2 or 3. We got the series. Let's go. And then they battled back. They went in the extras. They got the win. But, like Tampa looked much worse than their record did at the start of the series. But, like, you're starting to see some life from a lot of the players on offense, including Trey Turner. Trey Turner is now the best hitter on the team. Your thoughts on the Phillies as we enter Cleveland and exit Tampa Bay?
I think the big thing, you hit the nail on the head. Like, they have to get on a plane and go to Cleveland. They enter the 8th inning down by 4 runs. It's pretty easy to just pack it in. They don't. They end up, grinding out that victory. That's big for me. And yeah, you brought up, like, some of these hitters are coming around. First time I ever appeared on your show, we were talking about Alec Boehm and whether or not he was ever going to hit again. He's been rolling. Kyle Schwarber's, been on base in like 155 straight games or whatever it is. Trey Turner looks like the guy you're paying, $30 million for. And they're doing all of this with Bryce Harper still hitting 230. And you know that Bryce Harper isn't going to finish the season hitting 230. So I think they're getting key victories right now with their best hitter not hitting his stride yet. I think that's crucial because you need to do that. You need to win these kind of games, or else you're just going to fall by the wayside. And the fact that they're kind of still right there with the Mets, I think is crucial.
Yeah, for sure. You're 7 games over 500 and you haven't really hit yet. Bryce Harper hasn't hit. Schwarber's been great as he normally is. I really like Stott in the leadoff spot. He sees more pitches than anybody on the roster. He has an approach at the plate. Trey Turner's more of a 2-hitter to me than a leadoff hitter. Schwarber has settled in nicely in the cleanup hole as well. I don't mind moving Harper up in the lineup. I know they put him in the 2-hole one game to get his bat going, or because they're like, I don't need to have Bryce Harper hitting third, especially if he's come out of it a little bit here. But like overall, pretty happy with the last couple of weeks of the Phillies. I think they're 9-1 in their last 10. So all in all, it's been a successful run right here. Let me ask you about the starting pitching, and I got to start with Aaron Nola, because you and I, everybody got mad at us on Twitter because we were calling Aaron Nola the Joe Blanton of this rotation, and you said that you were taking the night off when Aaron Nola was making his starts because you couldn't take it anymore. Last 2 appearances for Nola, he's looked very good. His command has been there. He's been throwing strikes. He's been getting strike one. Everybody wants to know, Pat, have you been watching the Aaron Nola starts, and what do you think about Nola as of late?
No, I haven't been watching the Nola starts. Absolutely
come
not.
on.
No, dude, I'm retired from Nola starts because I can't get roped into 2 good games from Aaron Nola believing, okay, he's back. Because you know what's going to happen? He's going to go out there and he's going to have, it might not be tonight. It might be the next start. But he will certainly have a game where he can't get through 6 and he gives up 3 gopher balls and it'll be with 2 outs. No, I'm done. I'm dead serious. I am done with Aaron Nola starts until the playoffs. And people can rip me for it all they want. My mental health is better not watching that dude pitch, taking up $27 million on the roster. I'm good. I'm all right. He's pitched great the last two games. That's what you expect from a guy you're paying that much money for.
No, I agree. 13 innings,
good.
13 innings, last 2 starts, 13 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 14 strikeouts, 2 walks. But like, this is what you expect from Aaron Nola. He's going to come around. He's a quality starting pitcher, but he also he is their 4th best starter, I think, at best on this team. And we'll see what Ranger Sanchez does. And Ranger Suarez. And by the way, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Aaron Nola. Are you overpaying to be your 4th starter? Yeah. But like, if he can still give 6 or 7 innings and give up 3 runs, that's good for this roster.
But the thing is, like, you're looking at it logically. Like, he is the 4th best starter. He might be the 5th best starter. The Phillies aren't looking at it like that. And that's what really frustrates me. The Phillies are still looking at it like, oh, he's our 2nd best starter. He's our 1B to Zach Wheeler's 1A. They've yet to realize that this dude is not it. They've yet to realize that he is the most frustrating starting pitcher I think I've ever watched in a Phillies uniform, because he will look like a Cy Young winner for 3 or 4 innings. And then he gets 2 guys on base and the wheels fall off. So that's my frustration level, is we all know that come playoff time, come October, he's going to be your game 2 starter. And Lord only knows what Nola you're getting. And I'm never going to feel comfortable with an Aaron Nola start, no matter how he's looking. And no one can tell me that they do feel comfortable, because the implosion could happen at any moment with him. He's rolling and then boom, he hits a pebble and, the vehicle explodes.
Yeah, we've seen it. 3rd time on the order. He gives up the home run.
And he's the only guy that like we really focus with that, like 3rd time through the order. It happens every time. Like the only starting pitcher on this roster that it's like, wow, you got to worry about the 3rd time through the order. You don't say it with Wheeler. You don't say it with Sanchez. Hell, you don't really even say it with Walker, but he doesn't.
Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
He doesn't reach the 3rd time through the order this season. That's the thing. They've been really smart with him. But you don't say it with Ranger Suarez. You don't say it with Luzardo. The one guy you say it with is Aaron Nola.
Right. And Taijuan Walker now's in the bullpen. Elite reliever, Taijuan Walker, striking out 7 in 3 innings, and he gets his first major league save. I was skeptical I thought Taijuan Walker gives you 0 out of the bullpen. His velocity was up a little bit. And like, it was actually the perfect situation. It was low leverage. They had a big lead and he finished off the game. So it bailed out the bullpen. They didn't have to even warm anybody up. What, like, using a guy as the long guy, to me, that's where you put your worst pitcher, which maybe Taijuan Walker is your worst pitcher. But Ranger Suarez takes a spot in the rotation. He comes out. He didn't. I don't think he looked terrible. I think there were a lot of hits, a lot of like the balls found holes and things like that. They weren't hitting rockets off him in his first start. But you wonder what Taijuan Walker can be in this bullpen. Pat, do you think Taijuan Walker can be a guy that can pitch the 7th inning, a guy that can pitch the 8th inning, a guy that can come in high leverage situations?
I think he can be the long man, and I don't think they'll put him in a situation where he is a high leverage guy, because they're going to look at him as an insurance policy if they either trade Ranger Suarez in midseason or somebody goes down, and they're not going to want to build his stamina back up. So I think no matter what, he's going to stay the long man. You can't count on Andrew Painter, because even if he looks ready, they're going to have him on such a pitch count that he's not going to be able to go long into the games. So even though I might want to see Taijuan Walker in an 8th inning, I think realistically what you saw is what they're probably going to do. Low leverage situations, you're up by a lot, you got a guy through 6 innings. Okay, let's piggyback them with Taijuan Walker. And they might end up doing it with Ranger Suarez because of the back issue. Depending on how he looks. All right, he got through 6 innings and he's at 92 pitches. We'll throw Walker in for the final 3, and we'll call this one a day.
You mentioned potentially trading Ranger Suarez. It's interesting because Andrew Painter started last night in Lehigh Valley. He worked out of a jam in one of the innings where I think he loaded the bases with no outs. But overall, it was a good start. The velocity was there. The stuff was there. So let's fast forward to July when they're targeting Painter to come up. And they've already said they want him to be a starter. They don't want him to work out of the bullpen, which obviously things can change. If that's the case, who's the odd man out? Because it seems like Ranger Suarez is the only guy that would be the odd man out. You're not going to put Nola in the bullpen on what they're paying him because he's Aaron Nola. And Ranger Suarez, would they prefer for him to be traded, Scott Boras, than to go into the bullpen in a relief role? I don't know. Maybe you can get something and you can solve your bullpen problems by trading Ranger Suarez even before the trade deadline or right approaching the trade deadline. But if Painter's coming up, there's going to be an odd man out. They're not going to have a 6-man rotation. I mean, I guess they could, and there may be injuries that take care of it, but you just wonder how the Phillies handle the situation with Painter when he comes up.
Yeah, they're not going to do a 6-man rotation, but Andrew Painter's probably going to hit his innings limit no matter what in September. I mean, the fact that this team has coddled Andrew Painter the way they have is absurd to me. They've wrapped him in bubble wrap. He's 20 months removed from Tommy John surgery, and we're still doing, okay, let's baby him and see if he can get through 40 pitches to start. Like, dude, take the kid gloves off, let the kid go, and they're not going to do it. We all know they're not going to do it. You can't count on this kid in September because he'll be shut down by then. October, that's a pipe dream. Like, I brought up to you before having Andrew Painter be David Price circa 2008 when he's a top prospect. He comes up, he pitches out of the bullpen in kind of high leverage situations, getting that 1 inning showing the stuff.
Or multiple innings.
Yeah. But the Ranger Suarez stuff is interesting. Like, if an injury pops up, and maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe Andrew Painter, they don't have this innings limit. The fact that they didn't sign Ranger Suarez to an extension, yet they signed Christopher Sanchez to an extension, kind of tells you everything you need to know about the way that this front office is looking at Ranger Suarez. Because Ranger Suarez contract is up way before Christopher Sanchez, yet they locked Sanchez up. So no matter what, I don't think Ranger Suarez is going to be on this team. But if you're trading that guy and you're doing it for bullpen help, you better make sure that you get the right guy. And that's something that Dave Dombrowski has not done the past 3 trade deadlines now. Like, I don't want to see a situation like a Placido Polanco trade where you trade a really good player for bullpen help. You get Uga Thurbina and he sucks. You better get the right guy. And
then he lights a guy on fire with gasoline.
Yeah.
Later.
Well, that happens, Johnny. That happens. And I think it was a disagreement. I think they got over it. Like, you've done that before.
It happens. All right. I was mowing the lawn the other day and the neighbor came over and I threw gas on him. Like, get the hell out of here, Dave.
Yeah.
But you bring up like signing Sanchez and not Ranger Suarez. Yeah, Suarez outpriced himself. He's probably saying, I want 20 million a year, 25 million a year. And the Phillies are like, all right, well, we're not giving you that. Chris Sanchez was a bargain. I mean, it's really like when you look at, you mentioned Dombrowski struggling at the trade deadline, which he has. It's a hell of a trade. I mean, you more or less have Sanchez for nothing into his
Curtis Mead. What do you mean, Curtis Mead, dude?
What are you talking about?
They traded Curtis Mead for Christopher Sanchez, the legend of Curtis Mead. Saw him yesterday.
Well, I'm talking about the contract in general. So like they said they spoke to him and they were having conversations with Ranger, and Ranger's looking for $20 million a year. Chris Sanchez got $22 million for 4 years. That's easy. And he's a better pitcher. He's got better stuff.
Yeah,
so,
you're right. That's a good point. Like, they did really get a bargain with Christopher Sanchez, but I still found it interesting that they signed him. They locked him up instead of Ranger.
Dude, he's under contract through 2029. They bought out his arbitration years. They have club options on him in 2029 and 2030 for $14 million and $15 million a year. What's that like? What's a $15 million pitcher going to look like in 2030? A number 5 starter, right? So
Maybe.
if this dude develops into, which he already is, he's an all-star. He's an all-star. If he continues that and he remains at this current level, he's a bargain with Chris Sanchez. All right, so I mean, we were talking about the bullpen, and I mean, like, there's a lot of talk, Pat Egan, about needing to add a reliever and everything else. I mean, listen, Joe Ross continues to dazzle me, and the Joe Ross hive, which I am the queen bee of.
Absolutely.
The ERA is under 4. At what point do you buzz into the hive with me with Joe Ross?
I don't know if I can ever be accepted into the hive with the Joe Ross hate that I have spewed on your program here, but he's pitched well. I mean, I think I told you, like, let's talk when his ERA is under 4. It's under 4 now. So
it is.
I have no problem admitting I'm wrong if the team does well. But yeah, he's pitched really well. Credit to him. I think he heard the segment we did and me just laughing off the legend of Joe Ross.
Yeah.
And he got motivated. And but yeah, credit to you so far. You've been right since that conversation took place, and I laughed you off the airways.
Well, some will say that you should get some credit because the motivation, he heard what you had said, and he said, "Man, I'm not going to take that." You motivated him.
Yeah, this little 5'3" unathletic guy is talking crap about me. I'm Joe Ross. I'm Joe the Boss Ross.
You're good at blind league hockey, so I mean, you can't totally rip yourself right here. Pat Egan, appreciate it, buddy. What do you got? So what do you got going on this weekend? Anything good? No?
I mean, there's a really bad UFC card that I'll end up hate watching. So I'll do that.
All right.
I do this thing where I call them sad waffles. I do it on Friday, and I go to an ice cream place that has ice cream and waffles. And I get the waffles with ice cream, and I sit in my car alone and I eat it. And the ice cream's great. There's nothing sad about that, but it's the visual of a grown man on a Friday night eating ice cream and waffles alone in his car. I'll probably do that again. That's fun for me. But I got a hockey game tonight. Well,
some would question the grown man part of it, but yes, it is sad to watch you.
It's pathetic.
Do you throw the ice cream up afterwards? You look at yourself in the mirror and say, "What have I become?" And you stick your finger down your throat and throw up? No,
absolutely not. But I sit there and I listen to like a lot of Adele,
Okay.
Hello from the Other Side. A lot of Backstreet Boys, Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely. You get it.
I do. Sometimes it's good to wallow in your sadness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's good to have a good cry.
All right, buddy. We'll have a good weekend, man. We'll talk to you next week.
You too. See you guys.
There he is, Pat Egan. Coming up, Tyler joins us more on the Phillies. Also, we have to do I don't even know if we won our parlay last night. I know the Phillies were able to figure it out and get a win, but we'll do our BetParx Parlay of the day. And a lot more is coming up after this. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Why? All right, so check it out. You need new flooring, carpeting, hardwoods, laminate, whatever is Empire today is the way to go. They have flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. So like you, I've been to the big box store and you're aimlessly walking the aisles. Piles and piles fill the aisles. Never seen so many styles. But you can't find anybody to help you. because there's never enough people that are there to help you with it. So then you're like, is there somebody here? And then somebody that's selling a dishwasher comes over and says, oh yeah, what questions do you have? Don't do that. Empire Today is your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring every single day. So they're with you every step of the way. And they bring the showroom right to your home. So you could go to a showroom and look at all the samples and look at the flooring, look at the carpeting or whatever. But what does it look like in your house? What does it look like with the color of your walls? What does it look like with your furniture? What does it look like with your lighting? I've learned the hard way before with lighting and furniture. It looks a lot different when you bring it home because there are different lights in the showroom than you have at home. That's why they bring the showroom right to you. You pick the right flooring and the right colors in your space, and you know what it's going to look like with your furniture, right? You get precise measurements that are taken, and all your questions are answered, so there's no surprises. Clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate because some things are just better at home, and PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount. Use promo code PHLY. Go to EmpireToday.com/PHLY. Restrictions apply. EmpireToday/PHLY for full details. Hoo-ah! All right, let's talk about BetParx. Parx Casino, man, it is such a good time right now to get with BetParx. What about live betting? That's right. We start a series in Cleveland. Live betting's just better on the BetParx app. Watch and wager. Baseball, pro golf. Man, the pro basketball playoffs have been great. Pro hockey playoffs have been great. Live betting on the BetParx app. You can bet individual player performances as well. Baseball, player hits, home runs, RBI strikeouts, and more. And also the BetParx online casino and online sportsbook has an online casino app. It's right there on the BetParx app. It's another way to win live dealer, blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, and hot online slots. So download the BetParx app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. New users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. BetParx. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hoo-ah! We are back. We'll do our BetParx parlay of the day coming up here in a second. Tyler Zulli, I would consider you more Catholic than me. I went to CCD. You went to Catholic school your entire life. But certainly yesterday, the new Pope is named, and he's got a connection to the city. Not the city, to the area. He went to Villanova, a Villanova graduate. Your thoughts on the new Pope, Pope Leo?
Yeah, so I think my favorite discourse about this guy so far has been the back and forth between the White Sox and Cubs fans trying to claim him. So I guess the report came out, obviously he's from Chicago. The report came out that he's a Cubs fan. And then his brother did an interview and was like, no, he's been a lifelong White Sox fan. And then obviously our friends at CHGO, we have a Cubs and a White Sox show at CHGO. They were going back and forth. It was kind of comical.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing when the Pope is from your city. First American Pope, by the way, which is very cool. Now, he's an undergraduate of Villanova. So a lot of people, I saw one idiot Twitter account say that he's an Eagles fan, and they did an AI picture of him wearing an Eagles jersey, which was funny. And then everybody believed it. And it's like, hey, he's from Chicago. So he's not there's a lifelong Eagles fan. He's not. But can the city of Philadelphia, can he claim Philly? Because Villanova is not a Philadelphia college. It's a mainline college. So I would say that he is not considered Philadelphia.
Because you are anti-Nova as a Philly school, correct?
Well, I'm saying it with a sarcastic tongue in cheek because I really don't care about that. But a lot of people.
No, I mean, I think it's probably no. Like, I know I'm looking too deep into this, but my thing is always like, if you go away to school, like, because you in your past, you've said before, you've spent time in Hawaii, correct?
Right, correct.
So does Hawaii claim you or does Philly claim you? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, when I go on radio in Hawaii with my buddy Gary Dickman on ESPN Honolulu, they know as me of an HPU alum, Hawaii Pacific University alum. So they know that I've been in the islands and they know I have great respect to the ounce, but I'm not considered a Hawaii person. You know what I mean? Like, no,
Sure.
no.
I think probably similar situation. Like this guy's a native Chicago, right? Chicago can claim him. Philly can say, oh, it's kind of cool. He went to Nova, and that's kind of where it ends.
Yeah. What? So like Futz says, you can't ask a Temple guy this. I'm not really a Temple guy, dude. I just finished college there. I have really no interest in the college other than that. Yeah. So believe me, who literally aligns with Temple as being like, yeah, I'm a big Temple guy. I know people do, not me.
Pat Egan.
Not me. Yeah, Pat Egan, exactly.
Pat Egan's your answer.
Exactly. A guy that's playing men's league hockey, doing doubles. Anyway,
hey man, I give the guy a lot of credit because not only does he suffer as a Philadelphia sports fan, and there's been suffering, except with, obviously with the exception of the Eagles, but then he also willingly roots for Temple sports. So I give the guy that. I don't know if it's masochism. I don't know if it's just like, this is his enjoyment in life, but yeah, actively is a diehard Temple sports fan.
Right. Rather than going to a BDSM person and getting whipped and chained, he's a Temple sports fan. And by the way, like I'm literally kidding with the Pope stuff. I think it's awesome that he went to Villanova and that he has that on his resume. And by the way, I rooted for Villanova basketball for years because Temple didn't really have a program. They had a below average mid-major program. I grew up as a Temple diehard with John Chaney. So yeah, no, I bailed. You may realize this with me. I have a certain amount of time before I bail, like with the 76ers. I want to root for the Knicks, not the 76ers. The Sixers, 42 years is enough for me. And Daryl Morey's attitude is enough for me to be like, you know what? No, screw you, 76ers. Temple's the same way. I'm out. I gave them enough time.
I think a lot of people grew up in this area just that love the game of basketball, that fell in love with a different team, that what they root for, a different player. Like I always say, the two guys for me that like really established college basketball for me growing up were first Jameer Nelson at St. Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
And then Scotty Reynolds at Nova. And I don't root for either of those teams, but those two guys were the ones that like put Philly basketball in the forefront for me. And, college hoops, like Jameer Nelson, that St. Joe's team was like, that was awesome. One of the most fun teams ever. And to have it like in our backyard, that really kind of, because I was 11, 12, I think, when that team made its run. And there had time for me.
There hadn't been a championship since '83.
Right.
So that became, and it was like that with me, even being at that point, I was still was rooting for Temple more than I am right now. And like, I love that St. Joe's team. I've always rooted in Big Five. I've always rooted for the Big Five teams. I could never root for Villanova or St. Joe's because I went to Temple. I've never been that guy.
Well, I mean, think even a couple of years ago with the Southwest Philly floater LaSalle team that went to the what was it, Sweet 16? They were fun to watch.
They were.
They needed a play-in game to get in. They were a fun team to watch. So like, you get every once in a while you get a local Philly team that makes a run, and I think you get people. People rally behind it. There's always rivalries, but I think people across the city generally speaking rally behind those teams.
Yep, correct. All right, so let's do our BetParx Parlay of the day. I don't even remember what you picked. Yes, it didn't win.
No, I needed I got 15 and a half outs, from Brian Bayo yesterday, and he pitched 4 2/3, so he got 14. So I still needed 2 more. He needed to go 5 1/3. He didn't. It was funny too because the Red Sox ended up shutting out the Rangers, but he walked like 5 guys, and his pitch count just like skyrocketed. So he wasn't long for the game. So I did not win that one.
All right. So what do we got today?
So I'm going to go to the Tiger. I'm going to go right back against the Rangers. So I picked against the Rangers yesterday. It lost. I'm going to go right back against them today. Tarek Skubal's on the mound for the Tigers today. He obviously Cy Young winner last year, has been excellent again this year, sub-3 ERA. And he's on pace right now. He's averaging about 6.6 strikeouts a game. But if you take his first start, which wasn't particularly good against the Dodgers, he only had 2. If you take that out, he's averaging 8 strikeouts per game over his last 7 starts. His over-under today is 6.5 against the Texas Rangers. I'm going to take the over. I think it's slight over. The Rangers don't see a lot of deep counts. They swing first pitch. I think like the third most in baseball. They see the third least pitches in baseball. So I'm hoping that maybe he can drive a couple early 0-2 counts and start off that way. But I'm going to take Tarek Skubal over 6.5 strikeouts today against the Texas Rangers.
Wow. All right. Minus 155 on that, I believe.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. Yep.
So if you hit the NBA playoffs, and we can do a Saturday game because it's a Friday show.
Sure.
It's interesting because Cleveland's down 2-0, and they lost their first 2 games at home. The Celtics are also down 2, same situation. They lost their first 2 games at home, and they're at New York. The Celtics are 5.5-point favorites on the road, and the Cavs are 4-point favorites on the road. So, like, how do you look at those two series? I'm going with the Cavs tonight, -4. If there's ever a game that needs to be won, and Cleveland's banged up a little bit, but like I just think this is a game where they get a win. Honestly, I'm not so sure the Celtics don't lose tonight. And everybody was like, oh, well, there's no way they're going to lose game 2. The Knicks are not afraid of the Celtics, and the Celtics to me have the look of, man, can we beat this team? I don't know. But so I was choosing between those two teams. I'm going to go with Cleveland tonight, and I'm going to take them on the money line, which is -167. So forget about the points. Let's take them on the money line here. So on the money line, Cleveland Cavs -167. We're going to bet 100 again because I don't even know where we are at this point, Tyler. That'll be +164. So +164 on those two bets. There you go.
So latest update came from about 3-ish hours ago from the Akron Journal. Says that Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley all participated in shoot-around yesterday. They're all questionable for tonight's game. But they said, this is a quote from Kenny Atkinson, said they all touched the ball. They all got some reps. Didn't do anything live. They kind of participated in a walkthrough, and we're hoping for the best. So you may get them in a limited capacity tonight, which obviously would be a boost for a team that, despite not having any of them, the Pacers needed a Tyrese Halliburton buzzer beater or close to it to win that game. And Cleveland was leading for a majority of it. So if you get those 3 guys back, I think there's a chance they could win their first game of the series tonight.
All right, there you go.
By the way, you brought up the I apologize. You brought up the Celtics. Did you see the guys in Boston? I know you're a big national sports radio guy.
Felger and Maserati were killing the Knicks yesterday.
What are they? They're down 2-0. You don't get to do that.
They do. Yeah, I thought it was. It's strange because I would have expected them to kill their own team, but they didn't. They pivoted and killed the Knicks. They did. So, we'll see. We'll see.
It'd be like us being like, oh, well, I know the Sixers are down 2-0, but man, the Knicks really suck. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, the Knicks definitely don't suck. Are they as talented as Boston? I mean, maybe not, but at this point, who cares? Right. They're down 2-0. And not one time in that series, and I've watched most of both games, not one time did the Knicks ever look like we don't belong here. And I mean, the Celtics kind of had that bleep face on more than the Knicks did. Knicks have been down big time in second halves. They were down 16 points with 8 minutes to go, and they were hitting big shots and big shots. Now, I guess the reality is the Celtics have been winning for 2 years by hitting 3-pointers. So at one of these games, they're not going to miss 45 3-pointers. So the game that they win or a game that they win, they're probably going to win by 20 or 30 points. Could that be tonight? I don't know, man. The Garden is going to be wild.
Oh, yeah.
The cheapest ticket to get in I saw was $650. Just a get-in price.
Yeah, it's wild. It's the running thing from, what was it? Is it last year they lost to the Sixers?
Or tomorrow, I guess the game is. Tomorrow.
But whatever year the Sixers played the Knicks in the postseason.
Last year,
right. It was cheaper for New York fans to come down to Philly, buy a ticket, stay the night, and go home than it was to get into Madison Square Garden. And it's in part why you saw it in the postseason. It's why it was the Wells Fargo Center got invaded by New York Knicks fans.
Yep. All right. If you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com. It's time for overtime. From game 2 in Boston, where Knicks fans went up there because the Celtics won the title last year. So the thirst and the price for tickets isn't going to be the same that a Knicks fan's willing to pay, whether they're coming up from New York or they're a transplant and they live in the Boston area. Man, it seemed like it probably wasn't 50-50, but it felt like it was 50-50. And then the Knicks won after the game. there's this one video of there's a security person. It's this older lady, and Knicks fans are just going totally wild, and like she can't control them, and she's so upset about it. And then they were fighting in the streets, just like they were doing here. Remember, Sixers fans and Knicks fans were fighting, and of course the 76er fans get ripped. And it's like, hang on a second. What do you think is going to happen if you're an out-of-town fan in our building and you're getting up in everybody's face and yelling and screaming, ha, 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 ha? Well, of course, there's going to be people that fight back on that. And that's what they were doing up in Boston after game 2. So fun.
I felt bad. I felt bad for that lady. You could clearly, like, there was no audio of what she was saying, or at least you couldn't hear, but you could clearly see her like calling for help. Like, is somebody going to come help me? This is out of hand. I felt bad for her.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Everybody have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week. Everybody have a great weekend, safe weekend. By the way, happy Mother's Day out there to all the moms. And if you're a dad out there, make sure that you take care of your wife and your mom, because they deserve it. And I know that I'm going to be working very hard to have make sure my wife has a very good Mother's Day and my mom has a very good Mother's Day. So enjoy it. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.